Hi, this is David, and like I mentioned on my other video, I'm going to try to keep up with the Mormons. I have seen more change in the Mormon Church in the last 3 weeks than I saw for a half a century as a member of the Mormon Church. They have put out another news release, it seems like every 24 hours. They're just running like crazy people trying to deny their doctrine and get Mitt Romney elected. They'll do anything to get Mitt Romney elected. Let me bring up, this is the official church site. It has the Mormon, it's the newsroom, the official resource of news media, opinion, leaders, and public, and it's in the United States, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, this is crazy. You want to hear it? It's crazy. Okay, Mormonism 101. Yeah, right, 101, give us your money. Now the questions come up. Okay, frequently asked questions. Describing the character of the Latter-day Saints, the magazine. They're always quoting their own studies and their own magazines. My 1 degree from BYU indicates statistically that that is called unscientific. You don't quote your own studies. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the 4th largest Christian church in America. If you use the 14 million statistic that there's that many people in the Mormon Church, that might be a true statement. But here's what the Mormons forget to tell you. 2/3 of the people out of the 14 million don't go to church. They're either inactive, they're excommunicated members, they're children who were born in the church who are not even baptized yet. They are 135-year-old people that they can't find, and they hold them on their records till they're 135. You know, these people are experts at a snow job. They're absolute experts. You have to hear people like me tell you there's not 14 million Mormons. There's about 4 to 5 million Mormons, and they are not the 4th largest group in the United States. The church is the 4th largest Christian now. Yet despite the faith's growth and presence, surveys results continue to show that relatively few people are familiar with Mormon beliefs. Okay, the church wants to continue to say, you don't understand the Mormons. If you did, you'd be one of us. It's not true. Most of the people hear 2 or 3 things about the Mormons. They don't want to have anything to do with them. The Mormons cannot accept that. You're either with them or you're an enemy. You can't seem to be a good person that goes, hey, I just don't believe it. It's not for me. Now you're an enemy. Cults are always trained to fight. So I'm just going through this. This is what the Mormon Church says. It's on my screen. I'm telling you, after 50 years or more in the Mormon Church, it's not what I saw. It's not what... So believe this. Believe somebody that's been there. They're saying you're all misunderstanding them. No, you're not misunderstanding them. Marrying 14-year-olds and cutting the heads off of black people that marry whites, you're not misunderstanding that. So anyway, let's go down through it and let's compare what the Mormon Church officially says about themselves and what I experienced in the Mormon Church. An institution, the church, has a responsibility to publicly and clearly articulate its official teachings. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, but they think it does. They're continuing to think people don't understand them. People do understand them. The Mormons call themselves a peculiar people. They love that word. They were a peculiar people, in my experience, for 40 years. They were always proud and said, we're a peculiar people. The last 10 years, they don't want to be peculiar. Well, they're still peculiar, but they're trying to drop that particular dogma. But despite these complications, the church welcomes honest inquiries from all types of media outlets. Right, their own media outlets, but CNN and, you know, other regular newscast organizations, they're not wanting to ask one question. The Mormon Church is not interested in divulging its sacred secrets. Okay, what are the beliefs of the Mormon Church? Jesus Christ is the Savior of the world and the Son of our loving Heavenly Father. That's mentioned a little bit in the Mormon Church. For every time you hear that, you can go to any Mormon meeting and you can count the number of times you hear the word Jesus Christ. And for every Jesus Christ, there's 10 references to Joseph Smith, Brigham Young, and other people who have called themselves prophet. Christ's atonement allows mankind to be saved from the sins and return to live with God and their families forever. No, not their families. The Mormons believe, and with your families. The Christ has the atonement never promised in Christianity that you're going to live with your family forever. That's a phrase they use to get tithing from their members to go to the temples. Christ's original church, as described in the New Testament, has been restored in modern times. Excuse me. That's their official position, that they restored. Well, the Catholic Church has been around ever since the beginning of Jesus. And now the church doesn't say it much anymore, but they say the Catholic Church is the great and abominable church. And it's the whore of the earth. Well, to get Mitt Romney elected, they kind of dropped a lot of those things. And even in their temple ceremony, their preachers who were displayed as getting money from Satan has been dropped. So, again, they're just plain not telling the truth. They're just plain not telling the truth. I was there. I was there. You can't fool me. I was there. I have heard. I have seen. For 64 years of my life, they're not telling the truth. Now, you're going to hear the Bible quoted here all the time on this particular document. It's not true. The statements in the Bible are true, but the Mormons have spun them, and I have never seen this many Bible statements in my life in the Mormon Church. In my life. The Bible is almost non-existent in the Mormon Church. It's the Book of Mormon. I can't tell you how many times different prophets have told all the members of the church to read the Book of Mormon again from cover to cover. Read the Book of Mormon. I have never in a half a century heard one Mormon prophet say, read the Bible, read the Bible. No. It's Bible now because it's Romney time and mainstreaming and trying to get away from the doctrines that they lived and I lived for over 50 years. Christ's original church, as described in the New Testament, has been restored in modern times. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember Christ starting any church. As I read the Bible, which whether it's true or not, he did have 12 men, apostles, that followed him around and tried to learn his language and religion. But I don't ever remember correlation meetings. I don't remember priesthood meetings. I don't remember the Relief Society being mentioned. I don't remember bishops and stake presidents and 70s. There's some words in the Bible that refer to some of these kinds of things, but I never saw Christ organize a church. Maybe you did. And, polygamy, Christ organized a church. Okay, here comes the questions. Okay, the introduction. Okay, oh my God. Here's Boyd K. Packer. Boyd K. Packer is so hung up on masturbation. He talks on masturbation. The guy's like 85 years old. He's the next prophet of the Mormon Church. And he told all the boys in the church over and over again, you have a little factory, which is your sperm and your penis, and you can't use the little factory. So that's why all the bishops and stake presidents talk to even the girls about their little factory, 12, 11-year-old kids getting asked if they masturbate. So Boyd K. Packer, he's the one that wears a seatbelt in the conferences up on the stand because he keeps sliding out of his chair onto the floor because he's so slimy. Are Mormons Christian? Well, I would say generally they are Christian. Do they worship Christ as much as they worship Joseph Smith and other, quote, modern prophets? Boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I've been there for 50 years. I resigned from the church, and I just have to say, I don't think the jury is in on that yet. Are they Christian? I think they use Christ to get tithing personally. What do Mormons believe about God? Well, they're saying here he's the father of all human spirits. And again, they just go around and around their doctrine. Let me tell you what the Mormon Church believes. They believe that God is a man who's been resurrected, that he came to an earth like you and me, and he was tested, and he did really, really good, so he became a god. Then he had a son, Jesus Christ, and Satan, Lucifer, and then the rest of us. We're all his spirit children. Who's his father? Another resurrected being. Who's his father? Another resurrected being. Are we going to become gods like him? The ordinances in the temple say yes. You are anointed. There's the word. Anointed. The women are anointed to be queens and priests under the most to their husbands, the god. And the men are for kings and gods. And so in the temple ceremony, it's clear. They're not telling you this here. They're not telling you. I've been to the temple. I've been in these elements. I know what they said. I've been a veil worker in the Mormon temple. I know the Mormon doctrine very, very well. This is a lie, okay? Do they believe in the Trinity? Well, I would say yes, they do believe in a Trinity, but they do call it the Godhead. So that's going to be a yes on my part. The purpose of life, the Mormons think the purpose of life is to be tested, tested, tested. You come down here and they test you if you have faith to pay money to them. They test you to see if you can be perfect, which you can't, and now you're in a cult and you feel guilty. They think that you're going to be tested, 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 and as you earn Jesus points, you might be able to go back to Heavenly Father if you've been to the temple, if you've paid all your money, if you're perfect, and if. So it's a cult. It's fear and trepidation, and let us have your money. Do Mormons believe in the Bible? Well, they believe in the Bible when it's convenient. As long as they take it out of context and it supports the Book of Mormon, yes, they believe in the Bible. But when it says, you know, this is the end of Revelation and there'll be no more books, they throw that crap out. So the Book of Mormon has a place to live. Here, Russell Ballard, an apostle, says, the Book of Mormon does not dilute or diminish nor de-emphasize the Bible. Yes, it does. It's a lie. It's a lie. What is the Book of Mormon? Well, they're going to tell you that's, okay, the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ. It contains the writings of ancient prophets giving an account of dealings with people in the American continent. Well, that's what the Mormons say, but isn't it interesting? There's not one piece of archaeological evidence that supports that statement. There's not one piece of DNA that supports that anybody in the southern hemisphere there of the Americas had Israeli genes. Jewish genes. They came over from Asia, and now the church is having to back off. And, you know, they get caught in their lies with people like me and millions of others that are telling the world the God's truth. Okay, what is the Book of Mormon? Okay, it's a fantasy of Joseph Smith, what it is, and a reason to be able to marry and screw 14-year-old girls, 30 wives, and he thinks he's Abraham, and the Bible said that that's okay. So see, they believe in the Bible as long as it comes to screwing young girls. What can I say? What is a Mormon temple? Well, it's a secret place you go, and you promise by covenant and swearing with your right hand in the air that you will give everything you have to the Mormon church. Period. That's called the law of consecration. And then you also are threatened under the penalty of death if you show any of the secret handshakes or mention any of the secret signs, tokens, or symbols, that you will be killed. Before 1990s, the mid-90s, I guess, they used to do the slitting of the throat and the slitting of your guts, and all of your guts fall out on the floor. So you want to go to the Mormon temple, you know, that's what it's all about. You can read what they think a Mormon temple is, but I've been there. I worked in there, and I'm telling you what a Mormon temple is. Do Latter-day Saints believe in modern prophets? You bet. Every time the prophet says, give me more money, the Mormons bend over and give him more money. We hate the gays. The Mormons go, yeah, we hate the gays. Yeah, we hate women's ERA. Yeah, we hate the blacks. Yeah, we hate the black. We hate the polygamy. Yeah, we hate the polygamists. So that's probably some truth there. Do Latter-day Saints believe in modern-day prophets? Yeah, they do. But no one believes the prophets speak with God, that's for sure. Do Latter-day Saints believe that apostles receive revelation from God? Okay, now what's interesting is there's the question, revelations from God. But when you go into their text, it says here, knowledge. Revelation in its broad meaning is divine guidance or inspiration. It is the communication of truth and knowledge from God to his children on earth, suited to their language and understanding. So see, they come out with that big word, revelation. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth, which is in the temple. And they say, God and Monson, they get together for breakfast all the time. They know each other. Now they're backing off of that. They're just simply saying it's man's opinion. If Monson thinks you should hate the blacks, that's inspiration. So one thing they say, you got to look at what they say and what they do. It is entirely diametrically opposed. It is 180 degrees, what they say and what they do. Oh God, they go on with revelation, and it's not, see, they're back to the word revelation, but see, up here they're saying knowledge, truth and knowledge. They're tricky. They use the words and spin them, and if you don't have a good education and you don't watch them, you know, it's kind of like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Do Mormon women lead in the church? Yeah, they lead all the way to the bedroom where they belong. They lead all the way to the kitchen where they belong. And they lead all the way to taking care of the men's children. Okay? That's the God's truth. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And you see, I just continue to publish. God isn't punishing me. I'm not lying here. The Mormons are lying. Women don't lead. Women are totally second-class citizens in the Mormon church. They're not allowed to really go on missions unless they're fat and ugly and can't get married. Then the Mormon church sends them out there. That's not as much as it used to be, but that's still, you don't go on a Mormon mission as a woman because you're supposed to get married, get screwed, and have children. That's your whole life's mission right there. So do the Mormon women lead in the church? Now, they have a couple of women's groups that they let the women kind of be somewhat in charge of, but the men still rule over those particular women's groups. Do Latter-day Saints believe they can become gods? I've been taught that for a half a century. A half a century. We're here, and the children that we have, why do you think I have 14 children? I'm stupid, and maybe I look stupid, but I don't look stupid enough to have 14 children unless there was a reason for it. Well, there's the reason. I was raised a Mormon, and we were taught that the beginning of our world that we're going to get and become gods starts right here. So the more kids you have here, the more you're going to start with up there. So do Latter-day Saints believe they can become gods? Yes, we've been taught that all life. Over here, they want to become like him. That's what, now see, they're backing off. They're backing off because their doctrine sucks. Nobody's going to believe this. I was taught at 50 years we're going to become gods. And you know what else we're going to get? Our own planets. We're going to have so many wives, more than 71. You know, I'd rather stay a Mormon because you get infinite wives. The Muslims only get 71 or 2. And the Mormons give you your own planets out into the universe to populate and test those children and see if they're going to worship you and come back to you. So they're saying here, do Latter-day Saints believe they will get their own planet? No, they don't believe it. That's not true. That's a total lie in the Mormon church. Do some Latter-day Saints wear garments? Yes, they do. Everybody knows that, and they believe it's magic underwear. Do Latter-day Saints practice polygamy? Well, not officially. Again, this plausible deniability is a tricky thing with the church. I live here in Utah, and when you see a house with 17 or 22 bedrooms and 200 kids in the yard, do they practice polygamy? Officially, the Mormon church says, oh, no, we don't. Well, Wilford Woodruff said that to the federal government and lied. They continue to practice it. And John Taylor, he made a second manifesto because he said, well, you know, basically Wilford Woodruff was lying. We do practice. He still had 2 more wives, I think, after he lied to the federal government. And then he basically started the FLDS branches of the church and told them to continue to carry on the principle, they call it. So do they practice polygamy? Yeah, they do. It's underground. What is the church's position regarding race relations? Okay, I was in the church a half a century. Blacks were niggers, they were Negroes, they were colored, they were what's that word, mixed? I can't think of it. I was there, and I know how the blacks were treated. I never saw a black person ever come into any church, Mormon church that I attended. over 50 years. There's one black guy now in the, I think, in the Tabernacle Choir, and they keep taking pictures of him when they sing over and over and over, making you think that the Tabernacle Choir is integrated, but the other 220 people are white and delightsome. So what's the church's position regarding race? I would have to say officially, the church is saying we screwed up. We were racially discriminatory. We didn't allow the blacks to have the priesthood, and they're saying they don't know why. Well, they have prophets. Evidently, their prophets talk to Jesus, and Jesus hates black people. Do Mormons still believe the Garden of Eden is in Missouri? The answer is yes, it is. I was taught that my whole life. I lived in Jackson County, Missouri. I used to guard, not often, 2 or 3 times, I guarded the Mormon church's temple site right next to the reorganized LDS temple and right next to the huge building that the RLDS had for original artifacts of the Mormon church. So do they believe? Well, then why do they, if they say they don't believe it, why do they own a temple ground to build the temple on for the coming of Christ? Why do you baptize for the dead? Well, it keeps the old people busy and the young people guilty and keeps the tithing money flowing in. They have another idea why they do it. Why do they send out missionaries? Because of the attrition in the Mormon church. People are leaving in droves and they need more people to brainwash. Pay tithing. It's that simple. Why don't Mormons smoke or drink? Well, that I can't argue with much with that one. Smoking and drinking, it's taken a long time, and they're not the only organization that don't smoke and drink. It's a health issue, but you know, more obese people. Utah is the #1 state in obesity. So how does that fit into a health code? And they're saying here that Mormons live longer, etc., etc. That's not totally true. If you look at the studies, go ahead and Google in Mormon birth life expectancy, you're going to see that. Now they have a picture down here, and it's simple, and you know, there's the Book of Mormon, and you know, they're the 4th largest growing church in the world. I thought they were #1 all the years I knew about the Mormon church. They said they were the #1 growing church in the world. Well, they've quit growing and they're going backwards and they're shrinking. They say 70% of the members of the church go to meetings once a week. That's not true. I was in the Elders Quorum presidency and I saw the statistics and I put the statistics on reports. Every Mormon congregation has about 25 to 30% activity. Somewhere around 70-75% of the ward's members are inactive. They haven't seen them for years. Sorry, folks, I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's true. They are not active. 75% of the Mormon people don't even show up, and they can't even find out. The people are hiding because they're trying to get them to come back and pay money. So anyway, I just wanted to give you this report. Let me get this one off of my screen and see if I'm still there. Yeah, I am. God, I thought the Danites might have gotten my head cut off. Okay, so the Mormons have put out a new article, 101 questions on Mormonism. I have never seen anything like it. The church, for all the half a century I was in there, never had answers to those questions. And the answers they're giving now are not true. 90% of what they're saying in this particular 101 questions about the Mormon church, officially documented by the church, is not true. It's a total, outright lie. And they wish to hell people like me that are 64, 5, 8, 70, 72 would die, because we remember what's true and what's not. They can take you young people and go, oh, no, we never said that. No. The blacks, Joseph Smith even had blacks. Well, yeah, he had one black woman that was a maid in his house, and he promised her that she could be a maid in heaven. But somehow those things all get forgotten in the Mormon history, and they hide it, and they hide it, and hide it. But you know, the internet is raping them. It's gang raping them. The internet, people like me and many others, MormonX.com, the recovery board, thousands and thousands of us are telling you the truth. We've been there. We've seen it. We know what shenanigans are going on, what have gone on, and we're telling you it's a lie. It's a lie. If they want to change their doctrine, certainly they have a right to change their doctrine, but they're not being upfront and transparent about it. If they said, Brigham Young saying to cut the head off of anyone that marries a black person, we don't believe in that. That's just not true. They did say when Brigham Young was teaching the God Adam, that Adam coming to the earth was really God. Finally, the church told him to take a flying hike. Even as a prophet, that wasn't true. And the church doesn't teach that anymore, but they did when Brigham Young was a prophet. If they were transparent and said, well, Joseph Smith did roll around in bed with two 14-year-olds and screwed their brains out, and that's a pedophile in our day and age, and we don't recommend that, and we don't like that. What he did there may not have been from God, and a flaming sword from an angel that forced him to do that. Well, I told you in many videos, I've been waiting for that angel and the flaming sword. They ain't showed up in my house yet. That's called a pedophile. So, the truth from people who've been there, or read the lies. It's up to you.